So, this is my second tutorial, and this one is for the technique that I used in Is It Possible number 9, which looks like this. It looks pretty complicated, but I'll be sure to walk you through it step by step, just like in the last tutorial, so that you can use this technique in your own Rube Goldberg machines. Now this one is different from the last tutorial because unfortunately it requires basically the same materials that you see here. So if you don't have a lot of connects, you probably won't be able to make this unless you change the design a whole lot. That being said, if you do have a lot of connects, you probably will be able to make this because it does not require a particularly large amount of any one piece, and the assembly is pretty straightforward and simple. Now let's go through the list of materials pretty quickly. So you're going to need 8 VHS tapes, at least one ball. It can be a ping pong ball, it doesn't have to be. You're going to need 4 pieces of short track. Now here is something important. Each of these tracks, both of these kinds, interlock with connects pieces, like this. So I can slide the connects pieces into the track and they will hold. So this is for both of these kinds of tracks. So that might be important unless you just want to tape the connects pieces in there, but that might require a little bit more work. But also you're going to need 3 dominoes, you're going to need some string, obviously some tape, and as for the connects pieces, they're not particularly rare pieces. These are very common. You can find them if you have a giant bucket of connects. 1 yellow rod, 2 orange connectors, 2 of these black pieces, 4 of these gray connectors, 7 of these yellow semicircle connectors, 2 of these blue rods, 2 of these green connectors, 2 of these red rods, and 4 of these flexible rods that are the same length as the yellow piece. So those are the pieces that you're going to need, and without any further ado, let's get started building. So the first thing we're going to build is actually 2 of the same thing. So you're going to need 3 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these flexible pieces, 1 of these, and of course 2 tracks. Now, the first thing we're going to do is put 1 of these flexible pieces on each side of this green piece. Alright? Then you're going to take 2 of the yellow pieces and stick them like this onto each end of that, and stick those into your short track like this. Now, as I said before, these tracks are compatible with these connects pieces, but if yours are not, just tape them. So after that, it should look like this. Alright? So the next step is to take this and put it into there, and then this one is going to go on one of the sides here, just like this, right below the first yellow piece, and make sure it's going perpendicular to the track. Alright, so you want it perfectly right up and down. You don't want it to the side and you don't want it twisted like that. So try to get it as perfectly situated as you can, and then put on the track. And try to center that as well. So it should look like this. Now, all you have to do is build 1 more of those. Okay, so now we've got 2 of them. Now on to the next step. Now for the next step, we're going to take 1 of them, so we'll use this one, and we're going to add something to it. So we're going to need 1 of these orange pieces, the yellow piece, the final yellow connector, and 2 blue rods. So this is the thing we're going to add to it. We're just going to take the yellow piece and put it into the orange piece, and then put this on the end there, and then put the 2 blue pieces on the end like that. So pretty simple construction here. And we're going to stick that on here, on this orange piece, or yours may not be orange, but on this one right there, and slide it down until it contacts the track. So we should have something that looks like this. It looks kind of crazy and weird, but this is what you're going to need. So the next step is to configure your VHS tapes so that you can build on top of them. Now the first one is going to go right about there. The next one is going to go on top of it like that, as well as the next one right there. Then you're going to take 3 of them and stack them in front right there. And then 2 of them are just going to stick out on each side like that. Now, this will change in just a little bit, but it will change as you put this together, just because, you know, it might not be perfect the way you have it. So, on to the next step. Now the next step is to take the 2 red pieces and put them through each of the green pieces like that, and then take the 4 gray connectors and just snap them on each side. And this is just to keep them in the same place. This does not serve any practical function, it just keeps them in place. Alright, now we're ready to connect them to the VHS tapes. The next step, you're definitely going to need your tape. Now, for this one, the one with the addition here, with this piece, this one's going to go on top of these 2, like this, with that resting on the 3 VHS tapes. Now, the yellow track on top should be relatively flat. And the second one is going to go right about here, resting on those 2, and the red track is going to be resting on top of the red track in here. Now, this doesn't seem to be staying, but once it gets taped down, it will. So there's a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like, but once I get it taped down, it will look a lot better. If you notice, I just adjusted this a little bit, but now you should be able to take a ball and roll it across the 2 yellow ramps like this. But you should also be able to flip down these tracks. So, the way this is designed is that the height of these VHS tapes is just the right amount so that this red track is now pretty much parallel to the table. But same over here. When this side gets flipped up, the yellow track lands on top of the VHS tape on the bottom, and it is also parallel. Now I know what you're thinking. Jack of all spades 98. What is this thing for? Well, when this is in its downward position, that is the only thing supporting this so that it doesn't flip over that way. But that's not its only purpose. You see, what we're going to do in a second is attach a pulley and a string to this end and make this end go down. But what that does is this thing actually flips the other track upwards into the other position. Now, we're into the last step, and you may have noticed that we still have one of these pieces left. And that's for a reason. You see, what we're going to do is instead of using it as a connects piece, we're just going to use it because it has a hole in it. We're going to tape it down right underneath the track. So we're going to tape it down right here. Be sure not to block the hole with the tape. Just like that. Now, what we're going to do next is take our string, and it doesn't really matter the length, and we're going to thread it through that hole in the center and tape that end to this track. So effectively what we have done is created a pulley. Now on the other end, we're going to tape together our 3 dominoes, and tape that to the string. Now if you've done everything correctly, you should be able to just knock off the dominoes, and then this will happen. And there you go. That's the technique from Is It Possible number 9.